Welcome to our talk today about closing on a home during COVID-19. My name is Regina DeMeo. I'm a family law attorney in Maryland and DC, and I've been practicing for over 20 years. In light of the crisis, I created a series of talks to help families tackling some major issues. And with me today, I have the honor of having Melissa Brault. She's a settlement attorney with KVS Title. Thank you so much for being here, Melissa.
My pleasure, Regina. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So how long have you been dealing with real estate matters?
As you know, I started out in litigation, did that for several years before having my children. When I re-entered the workforce, did a lot of foreclosure defense for homeowners, and then got into real estate. Been in real estate doing settlements for the last almost decade now, for about 10 years.
And how has COVID-19 impacted your ability to do closings?
So I'm happy to say that volume, we have not seen a decrease in volume. People are still selling homes, people are still buying homes. So the challenge has become, how can we do settlements, make it still a celebration for home buyers, and keep them safe, keep them feeling a sense of security while they're purchasing. And so the big thing that we instituted is what we like to call the curbside closing, offered for buyers and for sellers. They drive up to one of our 6 offices and they call when they arrive. We come down, one of the settlement attorneys comes down to their car. We have the settlement documents with us, and we have our mask on, we have gloves on, and we have our documents. We put the documents typically in their trunk of their car, so they have no contact with us. They're always at least 6 feet from us. They get the documents out of their trunk, they go back into their car, and then we're available. We're watching them sign for notary purposes, and we're available to go over all of the documents with them because we're on the phone with them. They sign all the documents, the settlement documents, they into the trunk of their car. We get them, just make certain everything's been signed, and then they're on their way with a bottle of champagne. We use a single-use pen. So we're using different pens right now. So we take a pen out of a box. The pen's never been used before. They take the pen with them. And so we try to keep it as seamless as the rest of their transaction has been with their realtor, and at the same time keeping them safe. We offer this for buyers and for sellers. In addition, sellers and buyers can also sign with a mobile notary. Okay, we have employed, it's a third-party mobile notary service where a mobile notary will go to their house. Now, this is a process where somebody will be entering their home, so only if a buyer and or seller feels comfortable doing that can they employ that option. Also have an online notary platform called Pavaso that we're using for sellers to be able to sign, and all cash buyers. If you have a lender, which most people, when they're purchasing a home, they do have a lender, you can't do online notary. And so for those buyers, they have the option of the curbside, as I discussed, a mobile notary. There are a couple of lenders, a few lenders that are allowing title attorneys to be the power of attorney for loan documents and the settlement process. So we're also letting buyers know, and the lenders are that are utilizing this service are letting their buyers know that that's another option for them. There's one document that they do need to hand sign, which is the power of attorney. They are, again, reviewing all of the documents with us, and then we're acting as their power of attorney. And I can't emphasize enough that that is based on COVID. This is a temporary fix for what's going on. We do not expect long-term to be a power of attorney for a buyer. And then finally, we are still having in-office settlements. We are allowed to be open. We are an essential business. Should a buyer come into one of our offices, okay, we are doing everything based on CDC guidelines to keep our offices as clean and sterile as possible. They'll be met with somebody that has on a mask at all times. I would say 97% of our office is working from home. So there's very few human beings walking around our office. So if a buyer comes in, They won't be met with many people. They won't come into contact with many people, but we will make it as enjoyable and pleasant as an experience as a home buying process should be.
Wow. So are you seeing a decline at all? Or, I mean, and maybe it's too soon to tell, but can you predict some like change in how the market's going to look?
So what I can honestly say is interest rates are at an all-time low. And so typically from ratification of contract to settlement is approximately 30 days. So if you kind of do the math, we're seeing just as many settlements. It is incredible. It's a phenomenal thing in this area, the Washington, D.C., Maryland area, which is where our offices are. We're not seeing a decline. And these were homes that were entered in, the contract was entered into end of March, and they're closing now. In addition, we are seeing an influx of refis. So homeowners refinancing at a lower interest rate. So we're seeing an exponential increase in those as well. And we expect to see those continue in the upcoming months.
So back in around 2010, I remember you were doing some short sales and loan modification, right? Like work. I know that you don't do that anymore, but could you just sort of explain for people what those terms mean?
Absolutely. And what I want to first start with is when people think back to that period of time and have this concern, are we heading into that period of time again? This is a very different situation that's in front of us. This was an immediate, right? Almost overnight, people losing their jobs, furloughed, that kind of thing, not being able to go see home. What you saw during the home crisis, okay, that was approximately 10 years ago, was home prices were inflated. A lot of people took out home equity line of credits, HELOCs on their homes, second mortgages. And then all of a sudden, okay, they were maxed out on the value of their home. It was an inflated value on their home. And then as property values decreased, okay, people that needed to sell their home, okay, found that their home was what we call underwater. Okay, so a short sale is a legal term, meaning that when you go to sell your property, you are going to be short paying back the lenders and all the closing costs. When they're all added up, you're going to be short. And so you would need to write a check at settlement for the difference. People that are in financial crisis typically cannot bring money to closing. So you have a short sale situation where then you have to turn to the lender or lenders, okay, and negotiate where they would accept less than what they are owed to get to the settlement table, thereby avoiding foreclosure. And yes, we saw a slew of those. I don't expect that we're going to see those in the upcoming months because we're not seeing a decrease in home values right now. In this Maryland, DC, Virginia area, we are still seeing home values soar. Okay, but that is what a short sale is. A loan modification is when you can't make your mortgage payment. And so you want to modify the terms of your loan for a different payment. Again, I would emphasize, I'm not really seeing that as a solution to what people are going through right now. What people are going through right now is a short-term period where they can't pay their mortgage. And in my mind, the best option in this situation is a forbearance. Okay. A forbearance, I like to use the analogy of a gym membership. Okay, you can't use your gym membership for a few months. You ask them to freeze your gym membership. What you would be asking the lender to do is freeze your mortgage payments for 3 months. We used to see forbearances up to 6 months, even a year, for people that lost their job short term. Excuse me. You would reach out to your lender directly and ask for a forbearance. It is critical that it be put in writing. It's also critical that if they come to you and say as a response, oh yes, we'll give you 3 months not having to pay your mortgage payments, month 4 you owe 4 months payments, that's not going to help you. So you need to go back to them and say, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I need is those 3 months or 6 months tacked on to the end of my work. And that way, once my job resumes and I'm not furloughed anymore, I can make regular mortgage payments, and those payments that I couldn't make would be back on the end of my.
That is great advice. I mean, I heard that a lot of mortgage companies were giving forbearances to a lot of people in the recent week for like at
Yes.
least 3 to 6 months. Right.
And I as well, I also got phone calls from people that were saying, yeah, we got that, but then we're going to owe the 4 months on month 4. That's not going to help many people. Okay. And so that's when there needs to be negotiation. And sometimes you need to actually reach out to somebody who can represent you in making certain that you're getting the proper terms of the forbearance.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So can people do this by themselves, or do they sometimes need to get an attorney?
So, I mean, they can do it themselves, but of course, sometimes it's nice to have somebody that does this for a living, somebody that's moved and not as emotional in your particular situation. You know, it's kind of like, as we always say as an attorney, you never want to represent yourself, okay? Well, it typically can hold true for this as well. And there are law firms out there. You want to make certain you're not paying some huge upfront fee for those services, because obviously you don't have that money right now. You want to make sure that you're not dealing with someone who's preying on people that are in distress right now. But somebody who can represent your needs, present them to the bank, and work out a payment plan that's actually going to be beneficial for you.
Got it. And one last question I have. So when people are doing a refinance or a settlement, who gets to pick the settlement company?
The buyer typically picks the settlement company. Now, that being said, very often the buyer is relying on their buyer agent to pick the company. We do have sellers and listing agents that want to work with KVS. They've worked with us in the past. They can make that suggestion. Ultimately, it's the decision of the buyer.
Got it. And am I understanding correctly, like you for a time period were offering some sort of discounts to first responders during this crisis?
Yes. We want, for refinances in particular, we are actually waiving all of our KVS fees. It is the least that we can do to those people in the front lines right now. So anybody in the front lines during this crisis, we have waived all of our settlement fees for their refinance. And we have other discounts for people that need discounts right now as well. But in particular, for those people that are, it's the least that we can do with all that they're doing for us. I also want to say, you know, we're all in this together. Buyer gets to choose the title company, and very often it's the buyer agent. Anybody watching that has settlement questions, that has contract questions, it's important that they know they can reach out to me at KVS Title, even if we're not handling their settlement. I'm always happy to go over documents and questions that they have and concerns that they have. I mean, purchasing a home should be one of the most exciting, happy days in your life. Even during COVID, it can be, okay? And so it's important for people to know that they can reach out. I also want to let people know when they're purchasing homes that both GCAR and NVAR, those are the governing bodies for Maryland, DC, and Virginia realtors. They stepped up to the plate right away and have a COVID addendum to the contract. Okay, so home buyers and home sellers, okay, shouldn't worry that if settlement timeframes have to be adjusted because they can't get an inspector out to check the property. They can't do a final walkthrough because of COVID, that those timeframes are being adjusted accordingly with the COVID addendum. So I think that's critical for people to know that we are working together, everybody, to make sales and purchases happen in this area.
Fantastic. So I'm going to try and share a screen, and if you could just confirm for people your contact information.
Absolutely. Again, my name's Melissa Giove Brault, my phone number, and it's my cell number because everyone who has ever worked with me knows my cell number is on my business card. So it's 301-717-2827. You can always text me, give me a call. My email address is Melissa, MELISSA ssa@kvstitle.com. And I look forward to working with you all. And I am happy for people selling and buying today. We are in a we're very fortunate to be in this area, the DC metropolitan area. We are very often insulated by housing crises, you know, the roller coaster up and down. We're in an area that really sees sustained growth year to year. And with Amazon in Virginia, with the upcoming election, we always see competition, house sales, house purchases. It's a phenomenal thing to be in this area. And we look forward to working with people and making it happen, thinking outside the box, so that your experience is a celebration.
Wow, Melissa, thank you so much. And for all of you that tuned in today, thank you so much for listening. My name is Regina DeMeo. You can follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. My handle is GenXSmarty. And I hope you stay tuned. We have some more episodes ahead. And in the meantime, stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all you're doing to get this information out to people. I think it's critical.
Thanks, Melissa.